Good morning. I have to say it's a bit of a novelty to be going live in the daylight. We seem to have either been in the dark of the morning or the dark of the evening for so long. So welcome into the light. Lovely to be back. Still not quite firing on all cylinders, but this is my first time back in the craft room doing any real crafting for well over a week. So let's hope I've not forgotten everything and that we're going to be able to make a card together today. So I'm just trying to find my way around my laptop. That's the only thing I've been doing is work on my laptop. So I shouldn't have forgotten how to do that. So welcome. My name is Helen Jennings. I am a Stampin' Up demonstrator based here in the UK, and I have been AWOL for a week because as you might still pick up from my voice, I've not been particularly well, but never mind. Hopefully on the mend now. So I thought we'd come in this morning and do some crafting. Apologies, it's not as advertised time, but as I said, I've not been in my craft room, so had to try and find the desk and all the bits and pieces I wanted because it sort of had been abandoned after my last all-day class. So on my desk in front of me before we get started, do pop on and say hello if you're coming on live. Let me know what you're up to on this Monday morning. Indeed, if you're coming in and watching on catch up, do let us know what you're up to and do say hello. Do share these videos out. It all helps me and my little business to grow. But we are going to have a look first of all at some of these bits that are on my desk. I've put out the celebration leaflet. We are actually going to be using some celebration stuff this morning to create our card. So that will be fun. We're going to be having some fun with the lily pads. So don't forget that although it is now February, as I've sat here, I've just torn January off of my little desk calendar. We're now into February. We've still got, though, a couple of months to go, and there's more exciting things to come on the celebration front. So don't forget your little celebration brochure. If you're here in the UK and you haven't yet had a catalogue, do get in touch and I will happily send you one. And do get in touch if there's anything you'd like to order, because there's just beautiful things in here, and some of them are free with a £45 spend and some of them are free with a £90 spend. And then of course there's that fabulous offer if you host an event, and there's the fabulous offer if you join up and become part of the team. Hello Glenda, all the way from Australia, lovely to see you. Hope you're all well over there. Right, let's pop the celebration catalogue to one side, because the other thing I just wanted to highlight before we got stuck in with our crafting is that tomorrow, it's tomorrow, isn't it? Yes. Where am I? What day is it? Hi Valerie. Tomorrow, 4th of February, Stampin' Up are releasing, sort of on the back of Celebration, they did this last year, this coordination product release. So it's sort of some little items that go along. They coordinate either with things from the mini catalogue or with things from the celebration catalogue. So you've got a set of dies that go with the Nature's Thoughts dies that go along with the beautiful stamp set in the mini catalogue. You've got the Special Days dies that go along with these cute little raccoons and squirrels and things, that stamp set that's in the mini catalogue. You've got the Ladybug dies that go along with that wonderful Ladybird stamp set. You've got this Sending Flowers dies. Now this is one that I have actually pre-ordered. I haven't pre-ordered all of them, but I have pre-ordered this one. But as you can see, I've not yet even peeled it off. It's sticky and played with it. But you can see it's a good sized die actually. And well, there we go, next to my hand. And it sort of cuts out this circle with this detail around the edge with all these flowers, and then you get 2 little dies that will cut out flowers for you, and then you get 2 label dies. So really pretty, and I've seen some pretty things done with that. So you can see how you can cut your die out in one colour and then sort of die cut lots of flowers to layer up on the top. I think that's going to be a really pretty one, and it coordinates with the greeting stamp in Celebration, but obviously you could use it with any of your greeting stamps. The birthday dies to cut out the birthday cake, and then the other thing is this fabulous paper the Pleased as Punch. Hi Karina. Is Pleased as Punch paper, which has been designed to go with our new punches. So this is the umbrella punch. You can punch out the umbrella that's in the punch, but you've got both sorts of umbrellas there, and on the back you've got these raindrops, and then you've got these lovely hearts that the heart punches will punch out, and on the back is this pretty pink gingham. You've got the little flowers. I just love that as a background paper anyway, but there's the mini small blooms punch that will punch those out, and then you've got these fabulous tulips and leaves that the tulip punch will punch out, and on the back of that one is the green. Which did I miss? Oh, the stripy paper. Look at that on the back of those flowers. So it's a gorgeous pack of paper, and even if you hadn't got those punches, those shapes are really easy to cut out. So these ones are not to earn, these are ones that you buy. So you buy these coordination products to go with these different stamp sets and things. So details of those are they'll be going live tomorrow, so you'll be able to get those either on my online store or by getting in touch from tomorrow. So don't miss out on those. They will be while stocks last, and there's some beautiful things in there. But apologise if I cough. I have a cup of tea and a drink of water on hand to try and get me through. So, but today we're going to be looking at, as I said, celebration things. What have I just done with that celebration brochure? And we're going to be concentrating this week on these Lily stamps and the other products that are in this celebration catalogue you can get with them. So the Lily Pad stamp is a free with £45 item. So this stamp set you can get if you place an order for £45 or more out of any of the current catalogues, you'll be able to have the Lily Pad stamp for free. They've also put in some Lily Pad dies. So with the dies you have to place an order of £90 to get your free dies, but you can see that over the course of the 3 months of celebration you could be building up this collection. And the other thing that they've got is this designer series paper. I'll quickly, we're not using that this morning, I'll quickly flash it at you. This is the last of one pack. I've got another pack somewhere. So on one side you've got sort of these impressionist Lily Pad prints. Really pretty, really bold and bright. They're gorgeous. And then on the other side you've got really bold, bright backgrounds, and I know we used some of that bright paper for a project, I think the week before last. I've lost track of time, who knows. So those are the papers. So they again are free with a £45 order. So you can, over the course of the next few months, you can build up that little collection of goodies. And we're going to be playing today with the stamp set and the dies and the card. Because it's a Monday, we're looking to reproduce a card from the catalogue, and the card from the catalogue we're going to reproduce actually isn't bold, bright like lots of those coloured papers. It's this little card just here that we're going to have a go at creating. So without further ado, let's attempt this thing. Hi Sarah. So first of all, we're going to make a card base. So here in the UK, standard card base. We're going to cut that at 14.9 centimetres. This is a piece of soft sea foam cardstock. It's a good name, isn't it? They have such fabulous names, all these things. I just imagine somebody sitting in an office somewhere and that's their job, to come up with names for inks. And look like I've cut my finger somewhere. Don't know how I've done that. So yes, they come up with names for all of these colours and things. So there is our soft sea foam background, and on the top we're going to need this stitched frame. So I've got my stitched labels, and let's have a look. That looks like it's possibly the biggest one. Yes, I think it is. So let's find a piece of crumb cake card. Actually, do I want crumb cake? It's looking a bit on the dark side. I think I want to go for grey granite actually. Let me just grab, for some reason that piece of cardstock hasn't been listed. I really can't see if it's any of the other colours that they've listed on there. So let's have a bit of a rootle around and find a piece of the grey granite, I think, or Sahara sand. We'll make a decision. Let's grab a bit of both. One of the jobs I really need to do is sort out all my little scraps of card. They seem to be building up. Grey granite. No, I think we're going to go Sahara sand. Let's cut a little bit of this. I'll just cut that in half and then cut that in half, and then I'll know that that's a good size piece left over to use for something else. And we'll cut a stitched shape from that piece of card. So let's put our big shot down there. Tuck that right to one side, and then we'll have a nice strip of card left there that we'll be able to use for something else. I have over the last couple of days, so the only thing I've done over this last week really is do things on the laptop where I've been sitting and doing things somewhere rather than and binge watching Madam Secretary on the television. Anybody else a binge watcher of things? You get into something and then you just have to keep going. So yes, I've been sitting with my laptop binge watching Madam Secretary and putting up lots of events and things that I've got coming up. So do come and join me for any of those that catch your eye. It would be lovely to see you. Right, let's bring in the lovely Lily Pad stamp set. Now you get these two big lilies, you get a little tiny lily just there. We're going to be using all three of those. You get a couple of lily pads, you get some leaves, and then they are reversible, so you can stamp on one side and then turn it over and stamp the other. And you can see that mine have been used and have been used with a colour that's got red in it of some sort, as it has stained the stamps a very pretty pink colour, but that doesn't affect how they work, so we don't let little things like that worry us. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take, I'm not sure if this block will be long enough, let's have a look. We're going to take this sort of watery stamp just here, so this little swish of water, and we're going to stamp that on the background and on here, and we're going to use Versamark ink and clear embossing powder, so it's just going to give it a shiny tone on tone sort of effect. So let us have a dig about and hopefully find our little embossing buddy. There it is. Move that out the way. So let's just do some embossing buddy on that card front and on this piece of Sahara sand. And we're just going to sort of bring it down this side. Hi Marilyn from Queensland. Thank you for coming in and joining us. And rest assured it's okay. My germs are not going to be able to be transmitted down through the internet. You're far better to be joining me live on Facebook than you are live in my house at the moment. Right, so we've done that down there, and then we're going to do the same. We're going to put some on this background just here. Obviously the downside of stamping in Versamark is that unless you can get it up really close and personal, you can't see where you've stamped. Right, I seem to have 2 spoons in my clear embossing powder. There seems to be more spoon than there is powder, but it's amazing how far this stuff goes. So let's just sprinkle this on this background, and then we shall be able to see where they are just for a little while. So there we are. You can just about pick up that powder in the background there, and then we'll do the same on our little label. I need to check my stocks of embossing powder, because at some stage soon I'm going to need to top up with this clear one. So there we are, and there's the clear one. Just those little waves in the background, so they're just very subtle in the background. And obviously the nice thing about clear embossing powder, excuse me while I put my heat gun on, is that you can very much see when it's turned, because it just appears to disappear. Let's just heat that up. So the clear embossing powder being a bit shiny, it gives you that tone on tone effect, but being a bit shiny is sort of quite a nice watery effect as well in the background there. Let's do our powder that's on these on the card background. Use my fingers, it's getting a bit warm. And there they go. So there you have your wavy background going at the background there. So just tone on tone, a bit shiny. And then we've got our Sahara sand to go on the top, also just a bit shiny. Right, so we'll worry about sticking those together in a minute. We're now going to go on to our flowers and lily pads. The piece of pear pizzazz I picked was quite a long one. Let's cut that in half, make it a little less wieldy to use. Okay, so we're going to need one each of the flowers. So we're going to need the big flower, the medium sized flower, and the little flower. Sounds like a start of a story. And we're also going to need the large and the small lily pad. We're going to do 2 large and 1 small, and these we're going to again stamp in Versamark, but this time we're going to use white embossing powder. And before we do that, I'm going to lubricate with a bit of a slurp of tea, because I can feel my throat starting to shout a little bit. Okay, let's find a block for these lilies. In fact, let's grab 3 blocks. Is that big enough for that one? Yes, if we put it on at an angle, we can get that one on there, that one on there, that one on there. Then I think we're going to be able to get that small little lily pad on there, and then we'll put the big lily pad on there. There we go, we're all ready to go on the lily pad front. So again, we want our Versamark. Again, let's just give this a bit of a rub with embossing buddy to try and stop the static and stop the powder clinging where we don't want it. And I think we'll come this way with this stamp. Tap, tap, tap all the way across the top. I will also bring in my sponge mat, just because we are dealing with photopolymer stamps. It's always a good idea just to put a bit of sponge underneath. Let's give that a good press. And then medium size stamp. Tap, 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 tap on my Versamark. And we'll put that just there, making sure that we're not overlapping our original one. And then little baby stamp. Someone been eating my porridge and they've eaten it all up. Okay, so while that's still freshly stamped, let's sprinkle some of the white embossing powder. And if I thought my clear embossing powder was getting low, it's not anywhere near as low as my white embossing powder was getting, but there's still enough in there to do the job in hand. Got some lovely details on these flowers. Don't know how well that will show up, but they're really pretty. Let's stand that to one side for a minute, and then we'll put the heat gun on and heat them all at the same time. So then lily pads, we need 2 big lily pad leaves. Shows up a little bit better on the green. I can see where that one is. And 1 little lily pad leaf. I think you can tuck that one in there and make best use of that card. Okay, so let's sprinkle on our white embossing powder on this one. You do have to be careful with the white and clear that you're getting the right one. There's lots of little bits of paper in here. That you're getting the right one, because they do look identical. It's not until you heat them that you realise you've got the wrong one. If it goes white instead of clear, or clear instead of white. A bit frustrating. A bit of a flick on the back to knock off any excess powder. And there's our lilies. So let's heat up our heat gun again. And as it's already been warm, it shouldn't take long to heat. And melt this powder. Because of course that's what embossing powder is. It's just very, very finely ground up sort of granules of plastic that you're melting. Give you this shiny raised effect, and some are easier to see that they've turned than others. The most dramatic, of course, are always the, well, gold I think is possibly the most dramatic. The metallics, because it goes from such a dull powder to such a shiny finish. And there's always a wow. And is the things, as I'm sure I've said before, is the thing that got me into card making in the first place. Just watching that wow as the gold embossing powder went from a dull powder to that shiny gold finish. There we go. So we have 3 lilies and 3 lily pads. Now we need to bring in our dies. So the dies that go with these, you've got obviously your lily pads, your lilies that are going to cut out those flowers. You've got your lily pads that are going to cut out those pads. You've got a really nice sort of detailed lily, couple of nice detailed lilies there. You've got some leaf pieces, and then you've got this really nice border. And we'll have to make sure we try and use that later in the week, because it is really pretty. But for now, let's move these stamps out of the way, because we need to bring our big shot back in to die cut these flowers and lily pads. Oh, not helpful throwing it on the floor. So that's it, let's come round the way that we are so that I can see that I've got that right. So that's white. I'm sure that this isn't showing up at all on camera because it is very in the background. Very subtle colouring. And a little one. Now, I squeeze that up. We're going to manage to squeeze some lily pads on as well. I'm just going to take my scissors and trim that off. This one's much easier to see, but not for you because it's not on camera. There we go. So those are those 2 pieces. Let's bring in our top layer. We'll have to run through once more to catch the other lily pad. Crunch, crunch. Let's pop those out. The lily pads are determined to be on the floor. That's the big one this time. And there's the flowers. Grab that large lily pad again. Oh, and we'll come back one more time. I could have got my magnetic plate out for this, but that would have meant walking across the room, so there we go. Jobs are done. Jobs are good. Move that back out the way for now. And so before we completely tuck away all our heat guns and things, let me just stamp the greeting. And the greeting that they've used in this card is from the Lily Pad Lake set. So this is in the annual catalogue. It's one that was carried over from last year, and there is dies and things to go with this. It's a really nice stamp set, and they've used this Thinking of You with Loving Thoughts and Prayers stamp to create the greeting. So let me just grab this block, and it's stamped on a piece of the Grapefruit Grove. One of those colours that I don't use an awful lot, but I did have it for a card quite recently, so there was a nice little piece close at hand. So again, we're going to heat emboss that with white, and then we're going to take our scissors to it and snip it up. So there we are, thinking of you with loving thoughts and prayers. Let's bring in heat tool again, which is still quite nice and hot. Yeah, you can just about see that turning, or I certainly can. It's very frustrating if it hasn't turned and you go to cut it up or whatever and the powder just comes off. But I think we're good there. So let's take our paper snips. Could take my mini trimmer, but with these sorts of jobs I do tend to find that it's easier just to do it freehand. It may not be completely square. But we need people to know that they're hand created, not mass produced. So we're going to have thinking of you with loving thoughts and prayers. Obviously at this stage, if you didn't think it was appropriate to add the and prayers, you could leave it off, but I'm going to add those on. Now we've got one more job to do, and that's with these flowers. We're going to take some soft sea foam ink and give that a bit of a squeeze. I'm just going to give this a bit of a gentle watercolour wash. Now it will need to be a gentle watercolour wash because it is actually very vanilla cardstock. It's not watercolour or shimmery white. So I am just adding some colour over the top. Really just helps that embossing to pop more than anything else. Just adding in a bit of colour. And it's amazing, isn't it? Look at the difference that's made, just adding in that bit of the colour between those two. And let's lift it up. So here's one painted, here's one that isn't. So it is subtle, but it does make quite a difference in the amount that flower pops. And obviously the more colour you add, the darker it's going to be. We could have used a re-inker and just put a spot of re-inker in. Unfortunately, here in the UK, or in Europe, we've been having trouble getting re-inkers because of some customs problems, and this is not one that I've got. So with the best will in the world, I couldn't use the re-inker on this one, but it does look as if we're starting to get some movement on them now, and that we should be able to get our hands on them quite soon, which will be fabulous. Right, so we have our flowers, we have our lily pads, we have our greeting, we have our card background and our stitched frame. I think it's time to start building our card. Let's just move these little bits out of the way. Now then, I do need to put a new adhesive in my snail. So we'll do that. So just take the new snail out of the packaging. Remove this little piece of card. And then snap it into place. Open up the thing and we're good to go. Another quick slurp of tea. So let's start building. I think I'm going to put the label flat on the card. It's nice to add lots of layers, but then if you do happen to need to put it in the post, it does become a little bit of an issue. There we are, so we'll stick that one down flat. And we'll have this lily pad coming across at the top here. And then we will take some dimensionals to go on the back of the medium flower, mummy lily flower. Obviously, because it's normal card, that's still a little bit, oh, it's a bit wet, still a little bit delicate. And then we'll have our second lily pad coming down here. And again, just gently curving that round. I could take the heat gun and dry it a little bit, but it might also overheat the embossing powder, so I want to avoid that if I can. Ooh. Obviously, otherwise I could just have sat them to one side and gone away and done something and then come back and stuck them on when they were properly dry. But bring that down here. So we've raised that one up on some dimensionals. We have our last little lily pad down here with baby flower on it. And then we've got our little greetings, and we're going to raise those up as well. So this is where mini dimensionals are a real bonus. Thinking of you. Could obviously just leave it as a thinking of you. But we so much more than just want to think of this person. We're going to think of them. With loving thoughts, Now, just wondering if I'm going to be able to raise that up a little bit. I think I want that to come up here a bit. You can quite often, if you're gentle, just bring these up. That's better. And we'll have our prayers just there. That's much better. Now, on our Casing the Catalogue ingredients, the last thing that they suggest is some of the beautiful Peaceful Poppy sequins. Now, obviously, we're not going to want the bright red ones. I think the ones that we want, let's take my dabby end, are these nice clear ones, look. Let's get a few of those out. We don't want that red one on the top, we just want the clear one on the bottom. Come off, little clear one. And again, they just sort of give a shimmery, shiny effect. And some of them are flower shaped, which is really pretty. Another clear one there. Let's see if we can get another of those flower shaped ones. So we will scatter those around. Of course, oh, not having been in my craft room for a week, that glue's gone very runny. I was just about to say, I don't know whether my glue is going to run, but it's just gone very watery, so we won't use that one. That's a bit better. We'll go with that one. Now I've got glue all over my fingers. So let's just put some little spots of glue where we want our... Oh, now my fingers are so gluey, the sequins are just sticking to them. And obviously that glue will then dry. And we'll have one more, I think, on this edge of this lily pad just here. It's amazing what a difference all those little sequins can make. My hands are so sticky now. Thank you, Valerie. So here we go. Here's our little card with those little sparkly sequins on. There's another one. Some at the bottom there, and that just clear embossed background to make those little waves of water, so just very subtle in the background. So really pretty little card, and as I say, very different in colourways from a lot of the samples, because a lot of them are really bright and bold, but this one is far more subtle, far more pastel-y colours, but really, really pretty. So I hope you've enjoyed that card. It's nice to be back making things again, and all being well, I shall be back with you on Thursday. In the meantime, don't forget that those coordination products are going to go live tomorrow, that you can get all your lovely Sale-a-Bration goodies. So always lots to look forward to, and certainly don't forget those benefits of getting your starter kit and joining up. Always the best bargain of all. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you all later in the week. Have a good week, everybody.